And I find it kind of funny, I find it kind of sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world.
Fans are too loud.
Nope. Never true.
Okay, so with that, hi and welcome to After the Hype with me, Bryan and Jon.
Hello.
That wasn't the worst I've ever done.
No, it wasn't the best either, so we still have work to do.
That's true. This week we are joined again by Ryan.
What's my new title? Almost Always Ryan?
Almost Always Ryan.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that. And then we have Almost Always Chewie.
Hi.
And then we have Sam back.
Hello.
And then Paul back for the first time since the Avengers.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a really long time.
Yeah, that's fantastic. that's just so great for me later when we're cutting this.
I'm sorry, Brian. I'm sorry. Just trying to make your audience.
Guys, I really
Good.
I like being here, guys.
Stop trying to NPR it.
I'm really excited to be here today to talk about this film.
This film
Okay,
is the
so we're going to
best.
start with where have you been doing? I will go first. I have gotten back into Destiny.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I saw the deal on GameStop where if I brought in my game, I get all the DLC for $40 and the game again. And I was like, fuck it. I want to try this. Like, everything I've been hearing about The Taken King says it's made the game what it should have been a fucking year ago when it came out.
Yep, it gave it a story.
So you
and
bought it
from what
twice.
I heard,
Yeah, so
Well done.
I've essentially bought it twice, but I did buy. I basically bought all the DLC for way less than I was supposed to have paid for it, which I'm sort of fine with.
interestingly, that's kind of the only way you can get that. You can't actually, right now, as far as I know, buy Taken King by itself. It's, at least on a download or a digital format.
No, and it's kind of weird because you can play it by itself. You don't have to play the other two DLC to play it, like because that's what I thought I was going to get into. It's like I guess I have to play these other two, which suck. By the
Yeah.
way,
Ooh, here's a raid. Oh.
and that's really like I finished both of them in 3 hours, 4 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and they were definitely not worth it, and they weren't that good. So now I'm gonna actually start The Taken King, and I'm excited about it because as I've been playing again, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a really well-made game. It just had no story and was kind of worthless.
Well, and that's the thing that I kind of forgot until I came back into it was
Yeah.
that like the mechanics are really solid.
Really solid.
Really solid. Like it's a fun game to play,
Absolutely.
but there's just no reason to do anything that you're doing. Like here, get some silver right or whatever. Why?
Yeah. Well, you don't have
because
to, you don't have to do any of that shit anymore. And I like that the leveling system is now just leveling, which is
and the whole light thing makes more sense now.
Yeah.
It's more of accumulation of all your gear / your level.
Yeah,
Which
it actually-
before it was like once you get to level 20, here's this stupid light thing that you have to get a random loot to boost up.
yeah. No, it actually all makes sense now. It all works, and I'm much happier with the game. But that's it for me.
Hooray for second chances.
Well, Paul, now that you spoke, you can go next.
About what?
Where have you been doing?
Where have I been doing?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I've gotten, because I have the 3DS, I've been grabbing the old school Zelda games.
Nice.
And so I've been playing Majora's Mask right now. Just going through the
Ooh.
entire thing. It's a lot of fun.
It's a really good game.
Oh my god, I forgot how good it was.
Yeah. That's the first
So-
game I'm ever obsessed over. It's like I need to get every fucking mask.
Yeah. So like I'll play it and then I go through the walkthrough and make sure I get everything and go back again. And I've never done that before. And I'm like, wow, I'm really dorking out over this game. Usually don't do that. Usually I just like, fuck it, I'm gonna play and keep going. And when I finish, I'm finished and done. But this one I'm like, yep, no, I'm gonna get everything.
Yep. It's a good
Finish it. And that's it for me, I think.
Okay.
Oh, I've got one that's thematically appropriate for today's content. We saw Aliens this week starring Bill Paxton.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
First time?
No, but first time in
Okay.
the theater. It was
Big
really
screen.
awesome.
Oh, wow.
It
Where
was,
was it playing?
It was at the ArcLight
We're all
in Culver
jealous.
City.
Oh, okay.
It was amazing, and
Culver
I
City's a
actually
cool
I
place.
embarrassed myself a little bit because I still screamed when one of the aliens jumped out. But yeah, it's a great movie, but it was so cool seeing it on the big screen, and you realize like what a loss we suffered when James Horner died this year.
Yeah.
I mean, just because that movie is so eerie and wonderful, and it's so great.
And minimal.
And yeah, completely
minimal.
minimal.
So I'm a total noob. Which one is James Horner?
He composed the
composer.
music
Oh,
for all
sweet.
of James.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
all of James
He
Cameron's
did
movies.
Titanic.
He was also one of the eggs.
Wow.
And you know that
He's like a
he died in a plane
multitasker.
crash.
Recently?
Yeah, he died. He crashed. I didn't see how or why, but
It was a private
It was
plane.
his
Not many
private
of us saw
plane,
the
and this
crash.
was like 5 months ago. I think it happened when I was in Tennessee.
Wow. No, I didn't hear. Clearly, because I didn't know who he was. I'll go next.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been for the last 2 weeks watching the new Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Anyone else been watching that at
Oh,
all?
I haven't. Is it streaming anywhere?
It's not.
Really?
And
It's not on the website?
No, and I'm really well. You can catch the last night's episode on the website, and it's been a lot of
Only one episode though.
yeah. From
Come
what I
on,
can
Hulu, get on that.
Yeah. But Colbert's been pretty good. I mean, I think he needs to work out some kinks. I really think he needs to get an announcer, and they need to nail down their format. And I don't think he has like the banter with his band leader like all the other
There's always growing
greats that have.
pains.
Yeah,
Who's
yeah.
his band
Except for
leader?
James Corden, who had no growing pains and just snapped to it like he's been doing it his whole life because he's awesome.
His band
think
leader
Brian's
is
biased.
John Baptiste. I think he's a squeak. He's a famous like a instrumentalist, I would say,
Okay.
in the jazz genre, I believe.
Ooh, jazzy. All right, I'll go next. So it's part of like free games with gold. It was either free games with gold or a really cheap or a really deal. I got Terraria for Xbox. It's basically one of those Minecraft type clones where they give you more than just building as a mechanic. There's enemies to fight and also bosses to fight. And so it randomly generates the world, and it's all like 2D. So it's all very 2D, kind of sprite-based, very pixelated. And it's not that bad of a game. I usually play those for a little bit and then kind of stop, as with like Minecraft and all those ones where there's no point to the game.
I'll never even start him.
But it does things a little bit differently, and it has like a guy who kind of visits your house after you build it as like a quest giver, a help, like kind of a tutorial guy who just shows up and kind of tells you how to do things, which is kind of a neat approach to it. Sort of like, how do I use this weird menu system? And he explains it, and kind of on a rotating list of things he'll tell you how to do. So that's cool.
Well, being in my unemployment state, that means I get to do my marathon state. And I recently did a day where I just watched all of the last season of Doctor Who, because Doctor Who starts this Saturday / today.
I'm sorry. I did that season.
It
Yeah,
was bad.
it was.
Actually, just marathoning it's not as bad. Like, I remember when we were doing it episode by episode when it was first starting in the first 3, and we were really annoyed. But watching them all together, I'm enjoying it a lot more.
Now here's the question: are you just sitting there watching it, or are you doing other stuff while you're watching it?
Doing other stuff while I'm
So
watching.
you're able to ignore it when it's crap.
I guess so.
So you get a lot of other stuff done while watching Doctor Who. So you would say
But-
that Doctor Who is your most productive work time.
You can think about better versions of Peter Capaldi, which I often do.
Like
Him
from
getting out of the
Pompeii
TARDIS and
episode.
going,
I just- I think he's really fine. I
Fuckity
thought he
bye.
was finding himself as the Doctor.
That should be how it
And-
ends every episode. He just gets in the
I think-
TARDIS. Fuckity bye.
The new companion should be Zach Woods from In the Loop.
I think he'll be better once he gets a new companion, because I feel bad for Clara at this point. Like, her first season was such a disappointment at how much they built her up, and then you're like, oh, that's it? And now it's just kind of like, well, she's nice, but she's not enthralling, so hopefully... The actress is better than the character.
Absolutely.
Totally.
So I really feel bad for her, but she's leaving now, so she's going to go on to better things.
Play a queen.
Yep.
And I
Definitely better
think
things.
Peter Capaldi's probably going to be pretty awesome this season. I
hope
really
so.
hope that he's finding himself as a doctor. And
And it has Maisie Williams this season, which is awesome.
yeah.
You think she's gonna be the companion? I think she's too busy, right?
I don't think she's gonna be the companion. I don't think she's gonna be the full-time companion because she's in the season with Clara. So I think
Yeah.
that she's gonna be kind of like a.
Well, Clara's leaving some point in the season.
Yeah,
I don't think.
they think it's either the middle or the end.
Yeah.
of the
Yeah,
season.
I don't think it'd be right away. But Maisie Williams is supposed to be in it pretty quick, from what
Oh,
I
okay.
understand. So I think that she'll probably be almost like a Rory.
You're right.
She'll show up every now and then.
Rory, I miss you.
Poor Rory, who always dies.
But he's gonna be in the
He's
new
the Kenny
DC
of the
show,
series.
so it'd be great.
Oh yeah.
But he won't be Rory. I'll just say, I haven't actually finished the season yet. I still have half of the last episode. Once we found out who that girl in the hat was, I fucking loved her character immediately.
Yeah, that was
I
cool.
can't say who she is because Brian hasn't finished it yet, and I want to ruin the surprise.
You
but
kinda did.
I was really excited.
Fantastic. All right, so moving on to today's movie, which is Nightcrawler. One word.
Ooh, one word.
Yeah. Just one.
Not from the X-Men and not the worm on the ground.
What about from It's Always Sunny, where Charlie and Frank crawl around in the dark?
Playing
It's the
Nightcrawler.
worm on the ground
Nightcrawlers,
thing.
yeah.
So this movie came out last year on Halloween, which I think is kind of funny, because it's not a Halloween movie at all. Although
But it actually is. It's a natural, real-life monster.
It's not a Halloween movie. Just because it has a creepy character does not make it like a Halloween movie. Whatever.
Right.
All right. So it cost a whopping $8.5 million to make. It made $38 million, which I think is pretty good. $30 million over budget.
I smell a sequel.
Crawler 2, crawl again.
Day
Crawl nighter.
Crawl harder.
The review for today is absolute garbage. I would apologize, but I have to read it because it's just so fucking bad. It comes from Marek on Metacritic.
Oh, you found my review.
This was written on March 5th of 2015. I'm just disappointed with this film. I think that is a much better made and more interesting than asterisks for about a paragraph.
Huh?
And then 3 out of 10.
Because the website censors the.
Nope.
He just.
It does not censor anything. You have to
Wait.
choose to write that.
Read
Are you
that
censoring
sentence again.
yourself?
Okay, we need that reread.
Really
Reread?
confused.
For the
Okay.
sake of our audience.
I think that is a much better made and more interesting asterisks.
I think he was drunk when he wrote that.
He was having such a fit, he passed out.
Maybe he
on
died
the
while he was writing it.
Well, when you get really
I'm just disappointed at
there's a certain level of
Much
anger you
more
get to where you can't
better
type
made
coherently.
interesting.
He fell into the shift key and the 8 and then rolled over onto the enter key.
Yeah.
It's really all that I could
Totally
assume
possible.
I
happened.
kind of wish that after the asterisks he just wrote blam blam grammar.
That was the review after it. Was this
Blam,
review helpful?
murdered you.
Blam blam grammar.
0 out of 0 reviews has found that review helpful.
Interesting.
Surprising.
development.
If I could log in, I would say that I found it helpful, just to give him one.
Yeah.
You're gonna get
Let's,
one.
as a joke, make that the most helpful review. of the
Just get
movie.
everyone I know to say this
Yeah.
was helpful. Go asterisks.
Well, that wasn't far off from what I thought about the movie.
Including the asterisks?
Well,
Well, maybe 6
I'm
of
just
them.
kind of like guessing what he meant by the asterisks. And yeah.
We need to do the breakdown. And Paul here gets the honors.
Ha.
Yep.
What?
See, this is what you get for never listening to a
have to-
I'll get it on
podcast.
camera.
All right, so Paul, you have 30 seconds to break down the entirety of this movie, or I'm going to make fun of you or insult you or whatever I can think of on the spot because I don't have anything prepared.
Okay.
Ready? Go.
All right. So we have the main character who is maybe a sociopath and also might be on the spectrum, who decides to get into filming accidents and. Wow.
Nailed it.
I nailed it.
You have 10 seconds
I got
to
10
try
seconds.
to bring this around.
Yeah, no, I got nothing.
Other than more than the character description.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm just like drawing a blank right now because I'm not used to doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should have had somebody else do this today.
Well, you
They're in
failed.
person. Wow.
Man, all right, Brian.
You want me to try that again?
You're on the spot, Brian. It's been about 3 weeks since you've had to come up with a good insult.
I know. No, you can't try it again.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna go with
You can make fun of his nipples.
You can make fun of my nipples
I don't want to make fun of your nipples.
or my sweat patch that I got going on right now.
I'm gonna go with your nipples make your sweat patch look like sad tears.
Well, I'll help you with that one at least.
Yeah, I need a little bit of assistance on the
And
insult
with
for
that,
you.
the podcast is over. Brian wins.
That would be the weirdest, creepiest superpower. Like, I cry through my nipples.
This is not a superpower. This is an inconvenience.
Yeah, if that was your
Sounds like you're
mutation,
lactating.
like, how awkward would that be?
Stop it.
So my breakdown of this movie is that Dan Gilroy, the director-writer, started writing a movie. He had a really cool idea for a character, which Paul remembered pretty well. And then about halfway through, he forgot that he was writing a movie.
Really? See, I don't see that at all. I feel like he almost made it too precise.
Ah.
Like, I actually wanted him to meander a little bit more.
I'm going to do a quick pause here really quick because I realized that with Paul's wonderful breakdown, if anyone hasn't seen the movie, they might be very lost with where we're going. So we might want to give it the shortest little... This is what happened. Because as we're talking about, I'm like, wow, this really doesn't make any sense if you haven't seen this movie at
I
all.
can do a really fast rundown.
Really fast?
Yes.
Okay.
Jake Gyllenhaal is a con man who needs a job. He finds out that he can videotape people in disasters because he watched Bill Paxton do it. And then he takes the footage into Rene Russo into a TV station, and he starts getting paid for it. And then he gets really good at it. He develops a relationship with her, cons her into sex, she's not happy about it, but she keeps really getting good footage for her TV show, which is going to save her job. So then it works for both of them, kind of, even though it's really creepy. And then we see him actually commit some crimes, but that he can weasel his way out of, and he sets up a bunch of cops to die and videotapes it and gets his partner killed, and then he hires some more quote-unquote interns because he doesn't actually want to pay anybody, and gets some buses, and that's when the movie ends.
Okay, that works.
Did it.
Well, let's start at more of a easier place, and let's just start with Jake Gyllenhaal. I think that'll probably be the easiest place to kind of like actually start breaking this thing down a little bit, because I want to start with something, because I agree with Ryan to a point where as much as I love this movie, I also think it's horribly flawed. But I think I kind of go every other one. So I think the best thing in the movie is Jake Gyllenhaal's character, Lou
Bloom.
Blue or Louis Bloom.
Depends
Lou
on
Blue.
who he's talking to, which I love about it.
Yeah. And I think that, I don't know, for my buck, I think he was probably one of the best performances of last year, and it's still kind of annoying me that he got like zero recognition
He
for
and
it.
Renee
Really?
Russo both.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's obnoxious.
They were great.
Yeah, they got like
It was
nothing.
like the
got
best performance of his career.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they both got shafted.
I
like,
would just say he
over and over again.
captured everything that if like I was in a room with that man, I would not want to be there. Like he had everything that makes me uncomfortable about a person.
He did give me serious
looked-
anxiety as
He
I was
looked
watching him.
consistently greasy. He looked a little too thin. Like he just looked sunken
gaunt.
in his cheeks. And he had that smile that just is so like fake of like this is just like his smile is a mask. It felt like it was a mask that he would put on. And the way he dressed, his posture, everything just leached creep to me.
Yeah.
Like I would never want to be near him.
And then going into his apartment and you see like the childish bed sheets and you
Oh, yeah.
realize no one's ever been here.
yeah.
It's very strange.
Yeah, I
and
think the first person I've ever
disconcerting.
visited was
But he
the
has a plan.
police.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the thing that I really liked about him is if anyone has ever worked in like the TV industry, you've met him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I avoid them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're horribly creepy when you meet them,
I
but
just
they're
as-
everywhere, and they're super nice.
Yeah.
Like some of the nicest people you'll meet while you just talk to them that one situation. They're
It's
super
like-
friendly. They're super like, oh, you did a great job today. Way to go. You should be proud of yourself.
That's what I talk to when I talk to people. When I talk to people that I hate, or talk to other people about people I hate in the industry, I just call it Hollywood nice. Like,
Oh, yeah,
or
yeah.
But he's more than Hollywood nice. No. He's like sociopathically
But-
Hollywood nice.
Yeah.
you know, they stepped it up. It is hyper, but those people exist, and
Yeah.
those are the people that I do believe that if I got stabbed, they would view it as an opportunity for their cell phone, not something to call the cops about. I'm gonna get so many great like hits on Vine with this.
Yeah. Luckily, I feel like I've met very few people who I think would film me instead of call the police with their phone. But yeah, definitely, I think you nailed it on the head when you said this whole movie is a hyper-real look at what every aspect of this is like, from his character who is so cold and ruthless and cunning for his like kind of nonsensical career that he's just made up for himself. Renee Russo's like desperation. We could talk about her in a second.
Yeah.
Desperation, but it's great.
Well, and I just like how it just tied, like the movie is really from his point of view, because at the beginning of the movie, it's very kind of wandering and aimless. Like you guys were saying, like the movie should have been more of. There's more of a wandering sense of who am I, what am I doing, and then he locks into it, and the movie becomes laser precise. And his character just leads that.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to see how, like, even the way he subtly shows how he's absorbing the new information. You know, he's like his eyes do a lot of the work in this, and it could be easily done over the top with any other actor. And here he's just watching, and it's very creepy. I'm not lying when I said I had serious anxieties watching him.
Yeah,
because he was adapting like a robot might to something. I mean, he would fit perfectly in Ex Machina.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
They would have gone off together.
Well, it's things like when he says he's a fast learner, he's not fucking around.
No.
Like, he needs to be told something one time, and then he has it memorized.
Well, that's because he has no emotions to complicate anything.
The one thing I do want to mention about him that we haven't touched on yet is he is one of the best character introductions I've seen in a very, very long time. Just the whole intro of him stealing the chain link fence and getting caught, and like, oh, I must be lost, and here the thing, and just beats the shit out of that guy.
Yeah.
And steals his watch.
Yeah, you know what you're in for. From
From
start
the
of this
very
movie.
beginning, it's like, oh, this guy's a horrible person, and this is who I'm going to be, quote unquote, rooting for, I guess, this entire film.
What's terrifying is there's a moment when he's talking to that guy where you buy what he's selling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just for a second.
It's so terrifying because you realize how good he is.
Yeah.
almost
being
every
whole
time he
film.
starts talking, like there's like a few seconds at the start where he's saying something so well and so eloquent, and you're like, yeah, no, yeah.
It's also the smile. Like, just, like, I can't get over how creepy his smile is. Like, it's the type of thing that works on a lot of people where if you smile, they immediately trust you more. But, like, a lot of times when I see people force those type of smiles, I immediately go, you're hiding something.
Yeah.
A gun, probably.
Yeah. But I like that they did a good job with this movie, especially with his character, where you had that little bit of trust, not trust the entire time until the end of the film when the characters stop trusting him. You as the viewer will probably stop trusting him as well. Like even when they like, no, I don't trust a fucking thing you say. And I love that he's the only thing he gets disappointed by in that is like, do you have any idea? I've never sworn to a single employer. He's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. That dynamic was great.
Yeah.
The moment he interviewed him, I was just like, he's going to die.
Yeah.
At Dinah's fried chicken.
But I didn't really know with this movie because I didn't know if this is the type of movie where people were going to be like killed or not. Like so,
Oh,
really,
I knew immediately.
I-
I saw Jake Gyllenhaal 5 minutes on screen, and I'm like, he's gonna murder someone.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I kept wondering, is he going to murder someone or is he just going to get someone murdered? And
Right.
well, he gets a lot of
It's
people
so
murdered.
interesting
Yeah.
when you see someone that's like small like that, though. The journey isn't, are they going to kill someone? It's how does he get there? Because
Yeah.
he's so small and weak and wormy.
Yeah.
Like, how do you go from a worm to a full blown anaconda, just squeezing the life out of everything around you?
Yeah, I read he lost 20 pounds for this role, and he was not at all. He didn't have
You
20
could
pounds
see
to
his
lose.
cheeks.
No. Yeah,
Yeah.
he looked creepy.
Yeah,
the
he
whole
did
time.
a great job.
His shirts were always just a little baggy and a little pulled up in the top.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that was a thing on purpose or that just naturally happened.
I don't know, but I also liked whenever he went to correct me if I'm wrong here, but whenever he went to the news station, he was always wearing white,
That sounds right.
I think so.
and I like that because it kind of gives him like that really like clean like.
I don't think I noticed that,
guy.
but it's probably a lot of like cool little subtle hints in the movie
Oh, yeah.
about that.
Well, I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal also is one of the producers in the film, so like he definitely put a lot into this movie, and I like that. Like when people are that into like what they're doing, you get those little touches that really kind of make it feel more like a living world. And this one they did a really good job with, or he did a really good job with.
One of the odd things in the movie that I really like, I don't know how to interpret it. Like, I knew how to interpret the fact that his TV was just the center of his entire apartment. Like, it was the only real thing in his apartment other than the bed that you kind of saw. But the next to it was his, was it a lilac or whatnot? That you would just get, there's like at least 3 close-ups of him watering it.
There's more than that.
There's more than that? Like, and I'm not sure what that was supposed to signify. If that's like the only thing that he can nurture is this plant. Is that, like, I'm not, because that was really specific that they made sure we saw him water his plant. Or is that just part of like his methodicalness that this is something that he does? I wasn't
Maybe
sure.
it was a shout out to Leon the Professional, another cold hearted, ruthless killer.
Yeah. I can take care of this lilac, but everything else is fucked.
Could be.
The only thing that I know of, the only thing the movie ever calls attention to it is when he's lying to the police.
Oh yeah, well, he
about-
mentions water.
Yeah, he mentions he's like, I was watering my plant, and there's the car out there with the 2 guys in it, and like that's the only time they ever even caught attention, really, like other than showing.
other
it.
than showing it.
And
Yeah.
I think what it boils down to is everything he did served a purpose if he was called out on something. Like, I was watering my plant. He had a specific thing he could call to really fast. He seemed to be like that type of personality. Like, he did weird things or specific things so when questioned on something else, well, I was doing this, and then this came. Like, it gave him such a perfect alibi in every circumstance. And
Yeah.
it gave him a quick alibi, something he could quickly jump to.
And he's so good at bullshitting that he always had those things locked and loaded, and they're semi-believable enough to where you can't really poke holes in it. You can when you walk away and go, "Wait, what the fuck?" But
Like, you'd really have to be following him day to day to find the holes in his story.
Yeah.
Because even with the footage he took, he edited it the moments after. So, like, the timestamps were always good. Like, everything was so specific, and I really liked that about this, and especially his performance. More
Yeah.
so than maybe the rest of the movie, but I really liked that about it.
yeah.
He was a machine.
But let's move into something else here. Like, let's try to go somewhat a little bit more negative on this. And Ryan, I think, is the biggest fighter
Hater?
of this movie.
A hater's gonna hate.
Yeah. So where would you want to go? What didn't you like about the movie?
I mean, I just didn't really follow. I feel like the pace was weird. It was like a collection of scenes to me.
Okay.
From the beginning, I'm like, okay, how is this guy? What would you say? Is it 30s?
I'd probably peg around
Mid-30s.
35.
Yeah. Why doesn't he have a job? He's cold and calculated his entire life up to this point, and yet he's like, I'm gonna steal some junk, and hey, you want to hire me? Where did he come from?
I just
And where does
assume
he go? I mean, we kind of know where he goes, but
that he just creeped everybody out in all these other jobs until he found something he could do independently.
yeah, you think he just like went from fast food restaurant to fast food restaurant, working his way up to manager immediately, and then like losing his job 6 months later until he's like, I'm gonna freelance.
Or the plant's
I
his
don't
mother.
know.
Yeah.
He's actually a pod person. That's where he came from. That's why he has to water it every day, every hour.
I think he was I mean, he was obviously a grifter.
Yeah.
I think for me it was. I don't think he had. I think what we watched is him developing purpose. Not to reference Hannibal again, because I feel like that's all I do when I'm on here. But it was.
I'm okay with that, by the way.
It was his becoming.
Yeah.
Sure.
He didn't. The whole point of that first scene or those first couple of scenes was how aimless he was and how he was kind of absorbing the world but didn't know his place in it. And once he found it, how quickly he shot to the top. And maybe that was the plant. Like maybe he took root. And that's what we were watching was this like pod seed of a human being taking root and
I just don't buy that.
blooming into something. I mean, it's
For
And
his
to be
character,
fair, it doesn't really do much to establish some basic like realism there.
right?
Before it gets hyper real, because that makes sense when it gets hyper real, but it doesn't really ground it like you were saying. So I do agree there that it feels a little bit like, oh, he suddenly discovered his purpose. But what about that little bit at the beginning?
Right. I think this movie is hyper real and it's not self-aware. Does that make sense of it? Like, somebody who's watching this movie who doesn't work in any kind of news or TV might actually think Rene Russo's character is pretty spot on, realistic as a producer. Like, no way. If that dude Lou walked into a real news studio and was like, and pulled that shit, he would just be kicked out the door. Like, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out.
Oh yeah, especially when he like that whole sequence where he tells her like, "This is what I want."
Yeah, no. That's not how this works.
Yeah, no way.
Well, it was always supposed to. They always kept trying to feature how he could take the power away from people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but again, like the sex would never have factored into my review of it because it was never on screen and it was just another tool in his arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I think it's so fascinating.
See, but that to me that was really important because he's taking every power away from her.
Mm-hmm.
He's taking away her personal power, her professional power, her sexual power, everything. He stripped her bare till she's a puppet to him.
I don't think that's
let's
the
use this
case,
to move into
though.
Rene Russo's character
Yeah.
because I agree with Sam. I don't think so.
She still had just as much power. It's a game for her. She's so washed up, and I think she's had so many failures in her career that this is just as much of an opportunity for her as it is for him, however weird and perverse that is. Because there is
Super
a point.
perverse.
There is a point in the movie where you see that she's said no to him, and that he didn't always get what he wanted from her.
Oh,
And
when
they
he-
probably never have sex again. So
I think they will because I think that last scene in the movie
Oh,
where
she was turned on.
I think the last scene in the movie. I don't think she was. I think the last scene in the movie, she's going, "I can use you just as much as you can use me."
It's a mutual thing. That's why I think she's probably the most feminist character we saw on screen last year because she was him at one point, and
Yeah.
she made the wrong choice. She tried to fit in. She tried to fall in line. She tried to become the company woman, and that's where it leads him. And she's hitching her wagon to him as a second chance at like youth and a second opportunity.
Yeah, she's definitely older than him in the film.
Oh, totally.
Well, she even calls it out at one
Yeah.
point. She's like, "I'm twice your age," and he's like, "I like older women."
I don't know, that final scene between, for me, that final scene like stood out so like particular between the two of them because it was such a romantic shot. There's no romantic shots in this movie. No. And then that last scene
I think
between
the whole thing is so like woozy and beautiful Los Angeles. Like
But
if
it's
I
like
saw this movie-
anti-romance almost.
you don't like this version of Los Angeles, do you?
I love the way that they shot Los Angeles.
But no,
in this
no.
movie.
What the question is, do you like the idea of this? Like, would you be okay with these people? Like, is that romantic?
I mean,
like, I
they-
want to see what you're
they
saying. with
Romance
exist.
doesn't necessarily
They
mean that.
Yeah.
It's like a glorified kind of a heightened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we're
It's
using
the heightened world.
the heightened
Yeah.
world, and it's very. LA is also very much a character in this movie, and it's distinct. And I like this version of LA because it's so gritty and so dark. You get like in like noir.
I mean, I like seeing this version of LA. I
don't
don't
wanna
particularly
be
like
in
living
it.
in it.
Like, I would never want to be in this version of LA.
I would never live in it, of course, but I like the way this.
I mean, I
city's
kind of do live in
portrayed
it where I work.
and how
Yeah.
much of just a crazy character it is. It's so neat. It's a neat version of it. And it was fun to watch the city itself be part of this just weird craziness.
Yeah.
I think we get a lot of movies that are based in like kind of a love letter to other cities, and we get some that are a love letter to Hollywood, but this is a love letter to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
Is it a love letter?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
like, just,
yeah.
I think it's a love letter. It's a love letter. It's more of a love letter to the city than it is to the people in the
to
city.
me, it
Like a
just
really
feels like a criticism.
Creepy love letter.
Like this whole movie feels like a criticism to me of like, this is what you want. We're giving it to you.
I mean,
but
if you-
this
I
is
think,
what
I
you
think it's the
want.
criticism of
It's just dirty.
maybe the news cycle. Maybe they're criticizing that, but the city itself is always so well shot and looks so gritty and so character.
Oh yeah, the shots
It has
are
such
really
character
nice
to
in the
it.
movie, but it's all a
and
vehicle.
Sort of like Collateral, where like
Yeah.
the city itself became such a character, the nightlife became such a character, such a world. Like I like when cities like that are portrayed this way, and LA doesn't have too many of those.
No, it really
Yeah.
has Collateral, Drive, and
Yeah.
this.
And
Especially
this,
like
yeah.
Drive, yeah, because like this, the way this movie is shot is just so amazing, and the locales that they use, sorry, are stuff you never see. Like
Yeah.
I was just so blown away by the fact that they actually like looked for places that haven't been shot before, and then still looked great on film.
Oh yeah,
And
like
like
that
so
car
deep
crash
in-
on Van Nuys. Like,
Yeah, and
it's
it's
like,
so-
oh, I know a taco place right next to there.
Yeah.
It's a
Or
good
when they were
taco
at,
place.
when they were at
Yeah.
Dinah's and I saw the Culver City sign, I was like, I'm like blocks away from that.
Yeah.
I live blocks away from
And
that.
they didn't try to hide the dust or the dirt
Right.
of LA, which this place is dusty as hell. Like you just
a
can't
desert,
get away
yeah.
from it. Yeah, it's like, and I just love the fact that they show that. Like this, even the film grain shows how just dusty this place is.
So maybe
I guess I just didn't care.
showcase would be a better word than love letter.
I was too
Yeah.
Yeah, probably
distracted by his character to care about that aspect.
And now, was anybody else here? Was this their first time watching it?
Me, yeah.
Yeah, me.
Yeah, okay,
I
so
don't know
you-
why I raised my hand. but-
See,
For the listeners at home, three
Can
of
I-
us are raising our
Can I,
hands.
can I ask a question since your
Yeah.
first time? What did you think
Yeah.
of the score of the soundtrack?
It was perfectly invisible to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I liked it until the end. I didn't like the ending song.
yeah, the credit song was a little.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
That was a little
That
weird.
sounds weird.
I talked over it because I was so mad that it ended there. I feel like I was not satisfied at all by the ending.
I was actually blown away by the score. For
The
that
score
same
was great.
reason.
Good,
Yeah,
yeah.
the score was really
score
good.
was
I don't
great.
understand why they ended it on that. I don't even know how to describe it. Like it was just a bad song. And
I think
Yeah.
there's a lot. They do a lot of techniques in this film to make the audience uncomfortable that don't necessarily fit the story. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of the point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what I
and-
mean.
Yeah, and I think that.
Purposely.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that could be taken as a plus and a negative because the movie, with all its techniques, does a lot to make you feel anxious, uncomfortable, and really just kind of drive in that anxiety into you. And
Well-
you're either on board for that or you're not. And I, even though I was like curled in a corner, like throughout most of the movie, I still enjoyed it.
Well, let's
It
actually
reminds
talk
me-
about some of that stuff here because we haven't really touched on any like those things that actually make people uncomfortable, other than just saying that Jake Gyllenhaal is a creep. But like what he's doing throughout the whole movie is incredibly creepy, and we haven't really touched on anything that he's doing. Like the one for me, I saw this with a friend of mine, Justin, who is hopefully a future guest at some point. Always says he wants to be on. We'll have him on at some point. I saw it with him, who he's a lawyer or going to be a lawyer soon, and he went, "Well, he didn't really break that many laws," and I'm like,
he did.
"So you bought into this fully because he fucking moved a body at a crime scene."
he moved a body at a crime
There's
scene.
got to be a law against that.
He
broke into it.
manipulated events to essentially get
Kill
a cop
police.
killed.
Yeah.
Broke into a
And
crime
then
scene,
he
yeah.
Broke into a crime scene.
and then he chased behind a cop car during a
Yeah.
chase, which is intensely illegal. You're not supposed to do that.
I mean, technically only if you get caught.
All these.
How they how,
He's definitely
yeah,
caught.
how they
When you
weren't able
kill
to put
them,
him in
they
jail
can't
with
catch
that. Like that didn't make any sense to me that they had footage of him chasing the cop car, chasing the other vehicle, and how that footage there didn't immediately get him jailed.
Yeah.
He's a white dude in LA and he shot a brown dude. He probably just claimed self-defense. I mean, like, seriously, like, that's how easy it would be.
Also, he
Wait,
edited
he
the
didn't
footage
shoot
before
any-
he got out
what?
of the car.
He killed his
Well-
he didn't. I'm sorry, he didn't shoot him at the end, but like he got
Yeah.
his partner killed, and
But
that's
even
easy
so,
enough to
the
make
very
to frame
specific
him.
thing of him following a cop car during a chase, that moment right, that is illegal.
Yeah,
That he should be in jail.
yeah.
Him being a white guy.
I'm
could
sure
never
being in
get
jail
out
is
of
gonna
that.
be
but
fine.
the people that would have witnessed it are dead, and he knows enough about video that he could take the dash cam. You know, I mean, like, as sneaky
Even though they
as he
showed the
is-
cops watching the dash cam.
I still think he'd be able to worm his way out of it.
Yeah.
Especially like when you're doing something like news and TV news and that sort of stuff, and you're selling it. Like there's a little bit of a gray area there that's bullshit, but there is a little bit of a gray area that he'd be able to worm his way out of it. I honestly,
yeah.
yeah.
I wanted to see that though.
So did I. Yeah, I kind of
Well,
wish
you
that.
saw him getting interrogated, and that's actually
Yeah.
one of my favorite shots. Like I didn't actually get to break it down, the one between him and Rene Russo at the end. But the shot with him and the detective where she's doing her power stance on the table, that is so like put together as a frame on the screen with him sitting there smiling at her. She's doing the typical power stance, just lunging at him essentially. And he's completely unfazed.
Yeah.
And even though she's trying to get the power over him, she can't because of his stupid smile.
He knew where the camera was and he was composing the shot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what was so. Oh, I
Right.
loved it
Yeah.
so much.
Well, that's an
It's
element
just-
that
it's-
adds to the creepy for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, that just totally illustrated how he was such a frustrating person because somehow, no matter how much you hated him or wanted to get up on him, you couldn't. Like, ugh. And the way they framed the entire shot illustrated it so perfectly.
This movie reminds me of Fincher back in the day when he was like good. When things like when his movies were like dirty.
When he was
but
gritty
awesome.
and good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was- yeah.
'Cause he's still
Instead of
good.
instead of like perfectly pristine, I feel like I'm in a medical chamber. Like I can smell the alcohol.
Yeah.
That last movie was rough. Really rough.
I actually don't think I saw his very
Oh,
last
Gone
one.
Girl?
Which, Gone Girl? I started it. I didn't
See our previous episode on Gone Girl to
Oh, sorry.
see what the right opinion is.
Hopefully it's
But
terrible.
I want to call out, going back to the whole kind of the elements that make it creepy. There's a scene where he's watching some movie with, I think, Danny Kaye or something on it, and the guy it's like there's two jousting knights. They get their head lopped off, and he pokes his head out. Everything's okay, and then Gyllenhaal does this. They sit on the scene for a moment. He does this little laugh, like a weirdly fake, genuine moment of just laughter, and then they cut away, and I was just like, that was terrifying for me, just because it was so creepy. For lack of a better word, we keep going back to this word creepy, but the element plays off like you feel very uncomfortable
It's
after
the
that
only
scene.
moment where you actually feel like he has an emotion.
But then you wonder, is like,
No,
is it
he
just
has
something
an
he's
emotion
programmed
later.
himself to, like, this is funny on screen, I'm supposed to laugh at it, therefore I laugh at it. Like, it you can't tell. It blurs this line, and it's...
Yeah.
So you don't even know if that was a real emotion.
I
No,
got
I don't
the
think
whole
it was
movie.
in
Every
my
time
one.
he laughed, I felt like it was a calculated smile and laugh
Yeah.
moment.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like a social...
But he was
He's
alone.
a sociopath.
He was
Absolutely.
alone, but we're,
Describe
but we're
it.
watching him. So, like, it pulls... There's a meta layer to it, too, because if it's all constructed, it's doing it for us, the audience, right? So
Yeah.
there's more layers to it
Or
on
he's
the film.
practicing. Which
Or
is
That's
yeah.
what I'd say. He's
weirder.
practicing.
even
It's
creepier.
very
Like, if you-
it's very Taxi Driver.
Ugh.
It's him in his version of a mirror.
Like, here's the cue. This is funny. I have to laugh. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
You know what else I thought was strange and kind of creepy is how much they didn't say and didn't show, like the sex thing, and then also his intern he was illiterate, and they never say this explicitly, but you just see him struggling through the whole movie, and you realize how much he's taking advantage of this poor guy
Right.
who's functionally illiterate and like can't catch a break, living on couches. Like this is a guy you actually feel for, and you just see him just steamrolling him and just squeezing
Oh.
everything out of him.
Yeah.
It's
Like
that's
moment,
the guy that got taken advantage of. Like poor Riz Ahmed's character is just
Yeah.
oh, it was terrifying.
The point where he, for like the first time in his relationship with him, where he opens negotiations, and then he says, "Just give me a number," and he says $75. I was just like, no, no.
Yeah, this is like a perfect... I feel like it
yeah.
was a...
He's like a PA on set
Yeah.
that wants approval and doesn't know his worth.
Yeah.
perfect examination of the film industry.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
perfect in that one shot. And then you're just like I thought he was gonna ask for 750, and then when he says 75, I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then
Right.
you immediately see it where Gyllenhaal's character laughs, and then he's like, oh, I could have gotten more, couldn't I? Yeah, you could have.
Absolutely.
Done.
And then contrasted with Jake Gyllenhaal negotiating with Rene Russo, and he's like, 100,000 you will pay me.
Yeah.
Total opposite.
Well, it's total opposite, but I mean, at the same time, you feel like Jake Gyllenhaal actually knows what he's doing
Absolutely.
because he's just starting with the highest number possible and knows he'll never get paid it.
Yeah.
And like I like that moment where he says like, if I give you my lowest number, you better believe I have a reason for it. Because I think in his twisted fucking head, he absolutely has a reason for it. And if you ask him for it, he could break it down like beat by beat why you owe him that amount of money.
Something about how many
master
seconds of his
manipulator,
life
so.
he spent practicing his craft is calculated up to 100,000.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that, honestly, like, however much I hate his character, I have to admire him a little bit, because anyone who knows me knows that I don't like liars. And, like, specifically, like, it makes me really mad when you lie to me. And I feel like he's actually one of the more honest people that I could think like I've seen in movies lately. However much he's a manipulator, he's also intensely honest. And that would probably make me hate him even more because I hate everything else about him, but I'd have to admire his honesty.
I think he's only honest when it serves the purpose. I think he'd lie to you as fast as he'd tell you the truth.
Well, he lied.
He's verbally honest, but his intentions are anything.
Yeah, that's why he's a
but-
master
Yeah.
manipulator. He's
Yeah.
always telling the truth, but he's telling the truth in a way that serves him.
He twists the truth, like when he was telling about the house that he went into to film.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
He didn't tell the real story.
Those were two specific laws that he had to do for self-preservation.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any difference for him. There is no difference between a truth and a lie for him. It's all the same.
Kind of.
Yeah, it's whatever gets him to the next
it's
level.
all the same for him. There's
He
no
was always
difference.
he always seems intensely truthful with Rene Russo.
Because he didn't see a reason to lie. For him, like, lying is calculated and being truthful is
Yeah.
calculated.
Well, and
So
you
if
can sense
lying to
your
Rene
own.
Russo would have gotten him to the point where he could have his own two vans and start doing everything, then he would have been lying the whole time.
Yep.
Alright.
I also think he believes everything he's saying. Like
Right.
that laugh.
Yeah.
He believes this is like, or at the beginning when he's telling this guy, "Oh, I was just looking for friends." I think he legitimately believes that in that moment because he has to.
Yeah.
And I think in his mind, there's some version where this is played out, and then he kills the man.
Yeah. He's like one
Or
of the only
punches him,
people who could like
whatever.
pass a lie detector test. Because the only way you can pass it is if you believe what you're lying, and
Yeah.
he would totally buy into his own bullshit.
But
Yeah.
I don't know which part you're talking about. Because there were several points in the movie where he told lies to get what he wanted, and he knew he was lying.
Yeah, but I think I think his execution of the lie is something he'd actually believe. He knows he's lying.
Yeah.
But I think it would not come off as honest as it was if he didn't believe his own bullshit.
I gotcha.
And I think it's just like he knows he's lying, but you have to do it in a way that you have to believe it or they won't believe it.
And he uses language that corporate America uses
Yeah.
in the middle management level.
Yeah.
He uses that language, those coded phrases that mean nothing, but like they
potential.
they play very well to the uninitiated. They
potential.
they're easy on the
and-
ears, and he
Crap,
knows
I
that.
can't remember
Yeah.
the other words.
Creating a belief structure for the other person.
Yeah.
False encouragement, essentially,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
That Tony
false
Robbins.
praise.
Yeah.
Yeah. He sounds like a walking motivational speaker.
He sounds like he went to like Barnes and Noble and got a book on moving up the ladder and read it cover to cover.
And
And
memorized
absorbed
every
it.
word.
Yeah.
Which is effectively what he says. I mean, you can find anything, and he talks about how he's taken business classes
right.
and stuff online. He's been watching motivational speakers, and that's
Yeah.
why he talks like one.
Is there anything else we really gotta hit on this thing that we've missed?
I just have a question. If we put him and Dexter together, would Dexter want to kill him?
Yes.
Yeah.
You think Dexter would put him on the list?
It would drive the dark passenger really nutty, and he would just kill him.
Well, no, it would actually the fact that he's messing with crime scenes, he'd kill him for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true.
That's-
yeah.
yeah.
Just because that's who Dexter's character was. He was like,
Yeah.
it's like keep it.
That being
Yeah.
said, Hannibal would play with him for a bit.
Yeah, Hannibal would play with
I want a
him.
therapy
That would be
session with
fun.
Hannibal and this guy.
That would be
Because they're-
amazing to watch.
Because however likable they made Dexter in that show, like I feel like they're similar characters. Honestly, they're just different versions of it.
I feel like Dexter and Hannibal are closer than Lou.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I like about Lou is he's a character that we've seen similar before, like Taxi Driver, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Like you've seen similar versions of this character
Even,
before, but this he felt.
Even to some extent, American Psycho.
Yeah, exactly. But this it's kind of felt nice to kind of get like a refreshed version of it because it felt like something that I hadn't seen in a while. And although I have, it
It's a
still
very
felt new.
specific archetype now that I think about it, where we
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
get versions of this every few years.
Yeah, and it's always kind of nice to see it when somebody pulls it off, and Jake Gyllenhaal really pulled it
Yeah.
off.
I was actually thinking when I was watching this that he was a better, I forget the character's name from American Psycho, but he played the character
something
in
Bateman.
Patrick
Bateman, I
Patrick
think?
Bateman. He
Yes.
played a
Yeah.
Patrick Bateman
Or
that was in the books better than Christian Bale played him on screen.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that.
He'd be great. Let's do it. Jake G remake.
We should just do like a triple movie feature where we
Did you
watch
say
Ameri-
Mick G do a remake?
Jake G.
Oh,
Jake G. Come on with the
Mick G
remake.
directs.
I was like,
And
you
Jake
want Mick
G's
G to?
acts.
Weren't they
Like,
taking
we
American
could do-
Psycho to the stage? There we
Yes.
go.
We could do
you
American
go.
Psycho, Nightcrawler, and then Drive. Because I also think
That's
the
cool.
character in Drive is a similar version of this type of character, but a way more, like in my mind, a romantic version.
He's a bit more moral.
Yeah.
A bit.
I love how
I don't know if he's moral or just protective.
Yeah.
Lou Bloom has zero morals. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, is there anything else we want to talk about in this thing before we start moving into quotes? We didn't really talk about the assistant guy very much, but we did mention him. Sam talked about him for a bit.
You talk about
The
Rick?
moment he was on
Rick,
screen,
yeah.
Can
I
we just
said
give a shout
the
out to
Latin
Bill
Chris
Paxton?
Kattan.
Yeah, we didn't say anything about fucking Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton has tiny teeth and he's awesome, but he still got what was coming to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been better in other stuff, but
It's
he was
true.
pretty good.
Like, however,
He's been better in other stuff,
I
but I like
actually
that he
hate-
didn't play a Bill Paxton character in this one. Because usually
Yeah.
when you see Bill Paxton, he plays like a Bill Paxton chasing tornadoes or chasing aliens or...
Chasing
and
Hydra.
it's true.
Chasing superheroes and S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
It was a really, I want to say, it was a really odd moment when he was the last real scene we had with him, and how we hate Jake Gyllenhaal's character, but then when they're on screen together, you hate Bill Paxton's character more, which makes no sense
No,
because
It's
Great.
a scummy profession
yeah,
full
it's
of
just
scummy
really, they're all
people.
terrible.
This movie does a great job of playing with like the audience's ideas of the characters, because we didn't mention Rick, but he's like the most relatable to the audience.
Yes.
I love the whole time he's like, what the fuck are you
But
doing?
he's going
Who the
along
fuck
with
are
it.
you?
He doesn't just quit at any moment.
Oh, it's the perfect example of an intern.
Actually, there's one thing I want to bring up that we haven't brought up yet. The only thing that drove me nuts in the movie was actually the car he picks to purchase.
god, I hated
But-
that so much.
But I found out
That's an
why
ego
they
moment.
did. No, I found out why they did that. The two guys that the director was following and getting the story from. That's their car, so that's why they put it in the movie.
Huh.
But it still just drove me insane. I'm like, there's no way this character would buy this car.
No, I
at
agree
all.
with that.
It
That's-
also made me really mad at the real life guys. Like, why the fuck would you have this?
Yeah, like for someone who's so cold and calculating, to get to 35 without a job or career or direction in your life is unbelievable. To pick a bright red Dodge Charger when you're
Right.
trying to be sneaky is
Exactly.
really
And
unbelievable.
wouldn't
then
be
to
something
threaten
he'd
to
pick.
fire your intern because he dribbled a little bit of gas on it.
That made I believe that.
I believe that.
Yeah.
No, I know, I totally do. It's just funny.
Yeah.
I just feel so bad for him. He's the only person in this movie that deserves our sympathy.
Oh,
This
definitely.
poor- yeah.
Yeah.
But to go back to what you're saying about Taxi Driver, I actually agree with you. I think
Yeah.
when walking out, I was telling Sam when he first saw it, I'm like, this movie just blew me away because it just reminded me so much of Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted more of the meandering,
I really need to
seeing
see
more
that
of LA.
movie. Somehow, I don't understand it. I got through film school without seeing Taxi Driver.
I don't say you get through life without seeing Taxi
Yeah,
Driver.
I haven't. I don't. It's really stupid of me. I know.
So fucking good.
It's so beautiful.
I really hope once I actually get to see it, I like it because I've heard so much about it my entire life.
Jodie Foster. Aww.
You're gonna have some problems with it.
Yeah. 'Cause
know you
is
will.
it kind of dated after a while?
No, it's not dated at
No.
all. It's just it's got some morally gray areas.
Well, I know he's falling in love with a 12-year-old hooker.
No. He doesn't fall in love with 12-year hooker.
I thought
No.
that was a whole
No.
reason.
No. That's the professional. You're thinking of the professional.
Yeah.
Wait, Natalie Portman's a hooker?
No, never mind.
Never mind.
She was in V for Vendetta, though,
Yeah, she-
originally.
She is not in Taxi Driver.
No.
I mean, it's been a while.
Okay, so we'll move into quotes.
I'm gonna go first because Chewie already said my original, so I want to go with my backup.
I hope your backup's not mine.
It's the
Yeah.
police officer scene.
Nope, not mine.
Awesome. I love it when the detectives come to his house, and this just shows like both sides of him. He's both manipulating and calculated. They're talking about him, the footage he took the night before, and just as she's leaving, she says, "I would like to see a copy of that footage. Or I'd like to get a copy of that footage." And he responds to her, "Do I have to give it to you?" She goes, "Is there any reason you wouldn't?" And he goes, "Not at all. I made you a copy already." And he had it waiting for her. It was amazing, and it was like totally with the parts edited out, and he was
knew.
prepared.
That's
I like that turnaround in power. It's so, again, it adds to that creepy factor.
Yeah.
Because, like, oh, well, damn. Like, you're thrown off as a viewer.
Yeah.
and she'd definitely be thrown off as a cop.
Yeah.
She's like, "Yeah, I got the power." And oh fuck, you already had it waiting for me. Like, son of a bitch.
Yeah. I really like. I was joking about the sequel, but I would fucking love a whole movie about him doing it again with his new interns, where she's like on his tail,
I'd
and like
watch
trying
that.
to solve the crime.
I'd absolutely watch that.
Yep.
Daycrawler.
Oh, no.
I don't think the
LA
studio
does,
execs are
for
listening
our
to this
listeners who
podcast.
aren't in this city, LA doesn't actually exist in the daytime.
No, it doesn't.
It disappears to just a plain old desert.
No, you
We
just
don't
can't
have-
see it because the smog. It's still
Yeah.
there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna go next. Mine comes from the scene with Bill Paxton, where Bill Paxton offers him a job, and
man.
really tries to hard sell him on it, and he keeps saying no, and he's being as polite as Lou can be, and then to finally stamp when he's not taking no for an answer, I feel like grabbing you by your ears and screaming, "I'm not fucking interested," but instead I'm gonna go home and do some accounting.
Yep.
Oh, man.
It's like so perfectly controlled. It's sickening.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I love that just hint of I might not be in control at all. Like you push me just 1 second too far, and I'm gonna go fucking ape shit.
And you believe it. It's not a bluff.
Absolutely.
He says that 2 or 3
Oh.
times in the movie in more or less words. It's pretty
Yeah.
good.
I'll do my quote, which was in the trailer, and is very true to my feelings about this, where he's being interrogated by the cop, and he said, "If you see me, you're having the worst day of your life."
That's one of the classic lines from this film. It's great.
And
Yeah.
like I told Brian while we were watching it that if this ever happens to me, like if I get into an accident and I see a person get a fucking camera in my face, I will probably use every last bit of my life to strangle them.
Oh yeah.
Because I will be willing to die if they say she died with a dirt bag in her hands.
The Bill Paxton's best moment in this movie, and I hope it's not a quote because it's not a line, but is when he is on the stretcher and he sees Lou with the camera and those eyes.
Right, but accusing him, he probably knew that he'd caused this to happen,
Yeah.
and now he's the subject.
Yep.
I mean, that would be such a fucked up feeling. Ugh.
The quote I'll go with is between Nina and Lou when he's first starting, he's trying to pitch the first video to her, and he's trying to figure out what their premise is as the news station, and she goes, well, he keeps saying bloody, and she's like, well, graphic, the best and clearest way I can phrase it for you to capture the spirit of what we air is think of our newscast as a screaming woman running down the street with her throat cut, and the way he says, I understand, that quick learning thing, that creepy, you
Yeah.
get that he understands, and like this is going to shape the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it also solidifies that they're perfect for each other. I
yeah.
kind of like that moment in that quote. It's so loaded.
Oh, I'll go. So this is between him and Nina at the end of the movie when he's mad at her for not giving him the price that he wants, and he says, "And the last thing that I want, Nina, is for you to do the things that I ask you to do when we're alone together in the apartment, not like the last time."
That quote was great.
It's another. It was like it said everything that we didn't need to see about their sex life.
Right, plus her face too. That she's just like disgusted by it. But
Yeah.
she's still gonna keep doing it
Yeah.
because it gets her what she wants.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then my quote's actually from the pawn shop. I just love his little monologue about the bike. It's so good. This is a custom racing bicycle, sir, designed for competitive road cycling. This bike has a lightweight, space-age carbon frame and handlebars positioned to put the rider in a more aerodynamic posture. It also has micro shifters and 37 gears and weighs under 6 pounds. I won the Tour de Mexico on this bike. And I just love how it like plays off. He's just like,
All
he already
that.
knows this
He
much
just
about this
stole it.
bike.
Yeah.
He just stole it. And it's also that transition from like stealing shit to getting the camera to becoming who he actually becomes at the end. So I just love that scene.
It was so cute how he was
Yeah.
just riding around.
It's like back and forth.
And the little touch where he pulls up his hair into a bit of
When
a
he- right
man,
before
a
he-
man tail.
Yeah.
kind of in
Yeah,
the
right
back.
before it gets it.
That people in that area, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I've worked around a lot of people who have that.
Like everything about him is calculated. The way he wears his hair.
Yeah.
I also just wondered in that moment when I really enjoyed that moment too, actually. But while I was watching, I was like, okay, did he research all this after he stole the bike, or did he learn all this and then wait for someone with that bike to come along?
Or did he make it all the fuck up?
I actually
Yeah, that's
think
true.
he was
Like-
waiting for someone to come along who looked like they owned a bike, and that's the one he went for.
Yeah.
They
'Cause
own
if you-
that specific
Yeah, because
bike?
if you
No,
look,
who just owned a bike that looked like a bike that could be this.
yeah, because
pile
the
of
person who
bullshit
had
he
that
just made
bike was wearing like full gear.
Yeah.
He was a biker.
Yep.
And that's why like he took that bike. That's how I always thought anyway. It was like he was waiting to see the person who knew the most about it and then take it.
And we see those people all over LA too.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna roll to Whole Foods in my bike tights.
Yeah.
Spandex brigade.
Spandex shorts.
Do you want to know how big my
bike
package
tights.
is? Because it is nicely cupped here for you to see.
It's like we all know those are padded, boo.
They kind of have to
separate.
be
No,
padded,
wait, that's
otherwise you might damage yourself on the bike.
We move it in the review system. Review system for today is going to be either very difficult or very easy, depending on. I think it will be easy.
And depending on if I try or not.
Yeah, that's where it's going to land. Movies where the city is also a character.
Okay.
Cool.
I'm going to go first.
Go for it.
'Cause it came up to my head right away. Fargo.
Nice.
Very much a character of the movie, and having been from there and born there, like
Wait,
it
what?
makes sense. The movie Fargo.
But that movie, they're only in Fargo for the first 5 minutes.
The movie's
last
set in
10
Fargo,
minutes.
like around Fargo, that whole area. I mean,
No, it's set in Brainerd,
well, that's the
which
same
is really
place.
far from Fargo.
So they named the movie wrong, but the movie is still about Brainerd.
Yeah, and it's a huge character in the movie.
Yeah,
He's right.
The city is a huge character in that.
Yeah,
film.
Yeah.
And it may be Brainerd as the character itself,
Okay.
but like the movie Fargo has that character. Even when they're in Fargo, two for the price of one. 2 cities that are pretty specific. They look close together, having been to both places.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm gonna pick that just because it's either Fargo or Brainerd itself where they set it, and even in Minneapolis, they have some time in there, and that's pretty specific.
Okay. Anybody want to go next?
I guess I will go with Gotham.
Gotham City? Gotham the movie?
But which movie?
Sorry, I was thinking the city. I will go with Dark Knight then, I guess, because Gotham is a huge character in the Batman universe. You really can't have Batman without Gotham.
Yeah.
They won't exist without each other. And that's pretty true with Nightcrawler, I'd assume, just because this type of sociopath exists, but how he becomes who he is he's a product of his city, I'd say. He's a product of the leechiness that they establish in the news community in Los Angeles. And if it wasn't for that, he probably would have ended up a security guard at a mall, maybe.
And then that's how we get Observe and Report.
Except I
That movie would be so different.
want Lou Bloom's that movie.
It'd be the same.
But yeah, if Gotham wasn't the way it was, we would never have Batman. And if LA wasn't the way it is, we would never have this character.
Yep.
Yeah, that works. You kind of stole mine, so I can't use it anymore.
You were going to use Gotham?
I was gonna use a movie.
Oh.
But I was gonna use Batman Returns.
Those are two radically different versions of
They
Gotham,
are,
though.
but I don't
think
want to use
that's
the
fair.
same thing. I'm too
Our
much
audience
of a stick.
would see that as a
Do you need
cheat.
time? I can go.
Yeah, you can go next.
Okay, so we talked about it earlier, but I'm going to go with the Leon or the Professional, actually. And it's more like a fantasy version of New York and the idea that you can just get lost and get away with whatever you want because it's so huge and so much going on. But I think they pull it off so well in that movie that you believe that he's an illiterate hitman that can literally just like walk through the shadows during midday and never get caught. So that would be the reason why I picked that one.
God, I love that movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Such a good movie.
Yes, it is.
I have mine. I had my backup. I just had to find the name of the town in the movie because I forgot. So this is gonna be a bit of a stretch, but I think I can make it work. I'm going with Waiting for Guffman.
Nice.
So many movies I haven't seen.
You need to see Waiting for Guffman. Waiting for Guffman is it's a comedy, so it's very, 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 very different than this one. But a movie that is almost entirely about the town Blaine. Like everything in the movie is all kind of about that town, and the town is everyone is a product of Blaine. So kind of like how Lou is a product of Los Angeles and the Los Angeles system, and how it's all about getting to the top, and about how if you can work the LA system, if you're willing to just give up your morals and be LA, you will fly through the ranks. And it's kind of the same thing in Blaine. If you just want to be all about Blaine, you can have that local celebrity, everything. Like everyone, if you are willing just to give yourself to Blaine, you will be huge in Blaine. Nowhere else, but huge in Blaine.
Okay.
So I think it kind of works. They kind of work together, and I love being able to bring up Waiting for Guffman. So I fucking love that movie.
I'll go.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Dark City because shit's shifty and there's a
good
lead
choice.
guy that's hot
Yeah.
despite having massive bags under his eyes.
Believe it or not, that was one of the ones I was going to go with. Awesome choice. That's a great
Another movie
choice.
I haven't seen.
Oh, it's so good.
And the city name is in the title too, so
Yeah,
points.
yeah.
And it's still when Jennifer Connelly was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Oh, burn.
Kind of a burn. It's kind of a compliment.
I'm going to go with the last movie that really did a good job of, I'm sure it wasn't the last movie, but another movie in my mind that does a great job of showcasing LA, Pulp Fiction.
There we go.
There you go.
It gives it like the weird perspective, that little twist, and you don't really, you go all over LA. You're not,
Still
stuck
dirty,
in
a
one
lot
place.
of amoral
Absolutely.
characters.
Yep.
And
It-
heightened characters. Everyone's heightened.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and it shows what LA can do to a person from from various walks of life.
Yes. Okay, so bringing our episode to a close. Next week we have a movie that is, at least in my opinion, kind of divisive. We have Big Hero 6 coming up. A lot of people loved the shit out of Big Hero 6. Then people like me went,
I'm kind of in the same camp as Brian, so we're
Yeah.
gonna need to get some
It was
defense in
pretty.
there.
yeah.
Shrug.
So it'll be a fun one to talk about. And then after that, we're moving into our Halloween month, which I'm still not going to tell you what it's going to be, but it will be fun. We have something planned.
So was I the
Your
worst
confidence
breakdown?
gives me strength.
What?
Have I been the worst breakdown?
No,
No,
absolutely
no.
not.
No,
Far
no.
from it.
Yeah. Cody did the worst.
Oh, really?
The last week, right? He
No.
made it through one scene.
Yeah, he made it through one scene. Granted, you made it through a character description, but your character description was still better than his one scene. Of just,
Wait, which
You
movie
got- you
did
got-
Cody break down?
you have to listen to the podcast.
You'll have to go back.
You have to listen to every episode of the podcast.
It's in the last couple.
The worst part
Thankfully-
is I kind of figured you guys were going to make me do that. So I had it in my head, and it just went,
Was it the camera that threw you off?
yeah, well, I don't even know that. It was just like,
I hit it kind of out of view.
Yeah.
But
We
it helps
know
that
that
the movie
Paul
is-
falls under pressure.
it helps in your case that the movie was about the character.
When it's
so the
public
character
speaking,
description
yes,
is
yeah.
mostly
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, which is why Cody still did the worst ever. His insult was, "You did the worst ever."
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, thank you to everybody for being on.
You're welcome.
yes, this was so much fun.
Bye.
Bye-bye.